What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This one was supposed to be about wiring, but there are still lots of mechanical things that I needed to sew up before we could even get to the wiring or to the exhaust. It's Labor Day weekend, and I'm going to get this video out to you guys. But where it sits now, the next step is either wiring or exhaust fabrication. So it's going to be a short week this week, but let's see what all we can get done. But at any rate, enjoy this episode, and let me know what you think in the comments below. So in more exciting news, we came back from vacation and found out that a bobcat had eaten all 4 of our all-organic chickens, and this was what's left of them. So the videos are going to start being a lot more quiet from here. All right, guys, I'm back from Napa. I know this is supposed to be about wiring, and you can see I have the loom all kind of stretched out and everything, and de-loomed. I guess, yeah, the harness de-loomed. I'm going to go through and label, I'm going to go through my computer and label all the pieces and what they are so I can start depinning things. But one thing that I wanted to do for a quick win is I bought this throttle body on eBay or Amazon. It looks like a standard one that a lot of people use. I have the 3-hole on the intake over there. So this comes with an adapter that actually chokes it down from the 92 down to whatever's appropriate for this. So I'm going to go ahead and get the sensors put on and then get that installed on the Disco. So I'm going to put you guys in time lapse and see where it goes. So I take it, I'm just putting in the new gasket for it. I'm not sure what this port does. I don't know if it's a breather or what, but you can tell on this that there's no provision for it. Well, I guess it'd be over here anywhere. So I'm not sure if you guys know what that is or how to plumb that. Please let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna try this out. everything what I said right there. Here's what happened. I got that whole wiring harness sort of depinned. I mean, look at all this that I took off over here. And I got it laid out, and it was sitting across the engine and everything, and it looked okay. It looked like it was to the point where I could start lumining it up and everything. But what I found was, I feel like I was just introducing too many variables, right? So one, it was a green-blue wiring harness with a red-green computer, right, for the drive-by cable. So I needed to go back and add a couple wires, and it seems simple, and it is, but it's another variable that gets introduced that I don't really have a lot of control. What I didn't want to do is I didn't want to loom everything up and then spend a week trying to figure out what the hell was going on with the thing, or like why it wasn't working. So basically what I did was I got it to the point where the loom was about 90% ready to go, and I was just like, this is just going to cause way too much trouble for one thing, right? So plus there was the variable of just tying it into the Land Rover system. And I realized it's just a few wires and everything, and I realized I'm still gonna have to do that. But what I decided to do is I found a decent loom online. I'll show all this to you when it arrives tomorrow. But I just decided to go that route. I think it'll simplify things. It'll make things look tidier. If I need to shorten it or anything, that is much simpler to solder light color wires to light color wires to shorten everything up than to try to do what I did, where I'm pulling out like 10 pounds worth of wires. So, and then it still didn't fit right, and I was trying. It was just a mess. I was trying to pull it around, and it's possible. It really is possible. This was nowhere near as difficult as wiring that car that I built years ago from scratch, but it's just kind of a pain. And there were little things like the injectors wouldn't line up with the injectors on the loom, and I realized I can just solder in some new ones, and then I was gonna have to build this new fuse box. I mean, I have the fuse box with a bunch of relays in it, like ready to go, but in the end I decided to get one already pre-loomed. And I think I'm gonna be pretty happy with that. But in the meantime, my dad came down for a visit and was really pretty generous. He was like, hey, let's get some stuff for the car. So I got all the basic necessity things, right? So oil filter, some spark plugs, I got some ATF fluid. So to do the whole, I'm going to replace all the fluid in that transmission. I got some coolant, and I got a bunch of oil. And then I picked up some other things that I'll show you whenever they arrive, obviously, but just like little things like a MAF sensor and the belt and just like some weird things. Went ahead and proactively got the oxygen sensors now. I'm going to have to do that whenever I build the exhaust out, but went ahead and decided to get these now too. So in all, I ended up getting the MAF, spark plug wires, those are coming, O2 sensors, the Gates lower radiator control hose that gets cut and piped in. I got a gallon and a half of oil, 2 gallons of coolant, the oil filters. I did not get power steering fluid. I still need to go back and get that. Got the ATF, got the main belt, so I went with the 100-inch belt. Got the 5/8 inch heater hose and the 3/4 inch heater hose. I think there's some T's and stuff that I need to get into that. So I'll probably set you guys up on time lapse, but I mean, how much fun is it to watch people do general car maintenance? I think once I get the other stuff coming tomorrow, like the trans cooler and fans and things like that, it'll be a little bit more interesting, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so I crawled under here to put the oil filter on, but you can see that these are in the way, these transmission lines, and since I'm switching everything to AN braided, I think it's probably time to pull all of this hosing out and get that stupid cooler up there out once and for all, so that I can get to everything, and I'll just make it all with flex lines. That way I can route around the exhaust and things like that. So whereas I was going to put that on, I guess the first step is to take these off. Then I can put the oil filter on and then get to other things like the spark plugs and whatnot. I'm doing the heater hoses. You can see I mangled this one up a little bit. This rubber is welded to this, and it's tight getting it in here under this coil. So I'm going to remove this whole coil tray. But I think in order to make my life easier, all this cruise control crap is coming out. I would love to have cruise control, but I can't deal with this right now, so I may have to retrofit it. I'm just gonna pull it all out, put it in a box in the attic, and worry about that another time. Here's what happened. So I just replaced the heater hoses, or I was going to, and I'll show you something. These, let's see if we can get it off. A lot of the residue sticks around up here, so you have to kind of get a razor, but you can see how this is all bunged up. It's very, very soft, so you have to be careful. I believe this is the 5/8 that goes down to the 5/8 here. I believe that it doesn't really matter which direction it goes, and that it seems like on the forums a lot of guys are swapping them off back and forth to keep it fleshed out. What I did was I ran a garden hose through the big one and made sure it came out clear, which it did immediately. And then I ran water back through in the reverse direction, and it came out clear out of the top hose. So I'm thinking the heater core is pretty clear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to button this up and call it done for right now. I think that there's a T that needs to go in here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this evaporator or the steam vent here needs to get piped into a T somewhere down in here. But that's tomorrow's problems. Today's problems are I'm just gonna get these heater hoses on. Okay, so things I accomplished today. I made this little bracket. This was from the, I couldn't figure out, this is for the steering cooler. I couldn't figure out how to use that bracket, so I didn't. And I was looking to make something for this one, for the throttle cable, and I couldn't find anything that I really liked. But this was here, and so I cut a little slat in the top, and it seems like it works fine. Now it's a little slacky, so I had it the other way with this bend. Honestly, I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to get some 3/4 inch 1/8, or I even have this little scrap piece that's 1/8. I may trim this. What I'll do is I'll trim this up and remake this tomorrow. Just with the 90-degree bend, and it'll go right in there, and yeah, call it a day. So that's tomorrow's problem. Oh, one thing I should have mentioned was I had my dad sit in the disco and actually press the throttle, and the throttle really kind of came like this far, right? So this is full throttle, and it was like coming to like 75%. So what I think I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to pull the actual throttle pedal and extend it a little bit, because the leverage ratio is off, or the movement ratio, which I guess is a leverage ratio too. The leverage ratio is off, and it's not pulling the cable far enough. So I need to go in there and adjust it. I probably just need to add like, I don't know, maybe an inch with a wherever the cable connects. It needs to be an inch longer, so that when I press the throttle, it moves, it pulls it. If it's a pull, yeah, I assume it's a pull, but it pulls it a little bit further. That way I get full 100% throttle when I floor it. I think that other people had that problem too, looking around the forums, and I think there are various ways. Some people like ground into their the wheel on the throttle. Let's see if I can show you real quick. So I think some people kind of like ground this down a little bit to kind of decrease the ratio in here. But that's like front and center, and I didn't want to have a bunch of grind marks in the aluminum, although it probably would have been pretty easy. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'll just adjust it on the pedal side so it has more leverage. But oh, the fan, let's check this out. I went round and round about this. I didn't want to use the clutch fan, and then I'm hearing now that the clutch fans are good, and then clutch fans are not good. That you have to shroud these fans here, which is fine. I can make up a shroud and have Sen just cut it for me and bend it, which is probably what I'll do, but I want to get this in first. That's what this came with. All right, so 16-inch fan, little pieces. Hopefully this is enough, man. So I got the computer programmed. I'd have to look. It looks like it's got fan 1 at 187 to 180, 180 to 187, and then fan 2 is 190 to 200 with a 210 the 210 2-minute run on. So originally I was going to run dual fans, so I don't know if that programming is going to work, or if I just program it to do the cooler side. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. I think I can also fit another smaller 10-inch fan on the radiator if needed. So I figured I'd try this first and see. Yeah, it came with all the relays and came with a fan temp switch. And so my stuff finally came in last night. Let's show you what we got. So these are AC Delco spark plug wires. They're just the very basic ones. I wanted to stick with stock as close as I could for this. So just the normal wires. Took a guess and did a 100-inch belt. So we'll see if that works. Hopefully it does. That had to be ordered for some reason. I don't know why it's got the map sensor on it, but it's the mass airflow. These always seem really fragile. I'm scared to even touch the thing. But yeah, mass airflow sensor. And then we get to the fun stuff. Oh, I showed you guys these yesterday. Made a mistake. First of all, I think these are way off for lots of reasons. I'm not sure. It's got a rubber O-ring on it, but these are M16 1.5. I needed M18 1.5. So those are coming tomorrow. These are going back to Amazon. Actually found them a lot cheaper too. Got 5 feet of this high pressure hose for the oil cooler, which brings me, well, before we get to the oil cooler, and then just some bends. I went ahead and put the bend order in for before I make the exhaust. I got the muffler coming too, and I'm just going to use the muffler style like Lost Cause Ranch did for a couple of reasons. One, it's stainless. One, I like how it provides the merge, so you're saving about $150, $200 on the actual merge itself. And then, so yeah, I pretty much like this setup. I'll probably do the exhaust in a few different stages, right? So I'll do just basically exactly duplicate what Lost Cause Ranch did, minus the cats, get it running, make sure everything's running well, go back in, put the cats in, and probably at that time I'll finish out the stainless in the back too. But anyways, here's the oil cooler. It's about 50% bigger square inch wise. Now cubic inch wise, I think it's a lot more, and I'll show this up there to you and come back and do the actual math on how much. Right, so these are the dimensions of the original trans cooler. It's basically 87.5 cubic inches. The oil cooler is basically 64 cubic inches for a total area of 151.25 cubic inches, right? So that's if you combine both of them, if you YT off of it and run them both together. So this one here has got 180 cubic inches. So yeah, that should be great. God, it's already hot. So yeah, the kit comes with these AN fittings on the top. So this is a -6, and this, I don't know what that is, -10 maybe. And I don't know what is on here. It's just open, so I don't know, -12 maybe. So how it's gonna run, well, let's just get this thing on and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so these little fellas go into the actual gearbox, the automatic gearbox, and then from there, these 90-degree ANs will screw in. Here's the line. On the other end is two more 90s, and that'll go on the cooler side. So this step is going to be for the transmission cooler. I've never made AN lines before, so I'm kind of learning as I go, but I think the first step is I'm going to wrap a bit of electrical tape and trim off this factory edge, and then spin this edge on, and then get it all connected up. shockingly efficient and effective system. It's amazing. Okay, so next up, anyways, when I'm done being amazed, I'm gonna go put this side on the transmission and then mark out where to cut it for the next part. Here's the finished product, right? So it's got 2 right angles. They kind of snake down, zip tied down the frame rail, and I'll take you underneath the bottom to see how I kind of avoided the exhaust and routed it. All right, here it is. So that's the lower one. And then way up there is the next one, and they just kind of mount around the frame, or see if we focus, mounts down the frame rail and routes up. Okay, so I had to go into Dallas to the metal supermarkets to get some material, and I'm always shocked at how expensive this stuff is, right? So from a scrap piece of 050, they're calling it 5052, but who knows what it is. $19 just for this top piece, and then I got some U-channel that was another 13, plus the gas and tolls. It adds up. So let me show you what I'm doing. This U-channel here is going to be cut like so, right here, and then it's a 1/2 inch, so then it's pretty much seals it all the way around, and then. Sits on top of it, and what'll happen is 4 bolts will go through right here, and then 4 bolts up here. That'll hold it through. Small nut on the bottom. So yeah, let me get changed into some work clothes and get to fatten that up. Or maybe I'll just cut it like, yeah, what I'll do is I'll just cut this now, put you guys on time lapse. Cut this, get all the holes marked out, and then run to Home Depot, get the screws for everything. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright guys, that's the inside. So you can see it's pretty tight all the way around. Not perfect, but I feel like it's pretty darn good, man. So next up, bolt up.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Good morning guys. So obviously brand new day, and did some things last night. So I showed off the radiator that I did on the internet, and guys were like, no, you're gonna overheat immediately, to there's no way that fan could pull so much, to you're only pulling 50% of the radiator, and it just went on and on and on. They're like, at a minimum you need some flaps. So I think they call it highway flaps, where it kind of can float open at higher speeds. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, today, first job number 1, let's cut the slats in. It won't take long, maybe 20 minutes. And then I'll have to figure out a way to affix some little rubber flaps on it. But it got me thinking about the fan. So yeah, the radiator itself is like almost 400 square inches. With the 16-inch fan on it, it's only around 201. So yeah, it is literally only covering 50% of the radiator. If I were to, I have room to add a 7-inch fan. So if I add a 7-inch fan, that only gives me 38 more square inches, and that raises it up to 60%. So that's not really even a viable solution either. So I think the plan is to cut the flap, see how that goes, get it off the ground. Secondary stage, if that doesn't work, I'm just gonna pull that sheet off and probably go with 212s, or try 212s at any rate. That way it covers 73% of the radiator. And then there's some other solutions that I need to research a little bit more, like using Taurus radiators, I think, or Taurus electric fans, or some other things. But the room is really tight in there. But at the end of the day, again, iteration 1, I'm going to try this and see what happens. The internet's probably right, it usually is, but I'm willing to risk it just while I kind of iron things out driving around town. In other news, let me show you what happened. So I'm washing up from working in the garage yesterday on the project, and I look out the window and this massive branch is in the process of coming down. So you can see the one right there, it's completely dead. So I'm going to have that chopped off, and then somehow I'm going to either have to rent a chainsaw or have the same person cut it up into logs, which would be kind of cool. Oh, look, that's how close it was to the Defender, which is obviously a little dusty. I probably will have them chop up all the firewood so I could dry it out and use it in my Brio, but that's a project for another time. Okay, so it's a new morning, and here's what the plan is, right? So I'm waiting on a tap so that I'm just waiting on some stuff from Amazon, and for whatever reason my Amazon orders keep getting delayed. There's something going on with the Bulk Springs sort facility. But at any rate, what I'm gonna do now is, well, let me just show you. You can see I have a huge mess here, and that is just not conducive to getting stuff done. So, but while I have the mess, and before I'm gonna make a new mess, on top of the old mess, and then get it all cleaned up. So at any rate, where we're at is, you see this a lot in ACE conversions. They'll wrap this around, they'll put a really tight bend, come around, loop back around, and then come into an air box at a really weird angle. To me, the logical way to do it is to install a 3rd gen truck air box right here, and then pull it around, tight 90, and then come around and go directly into the air box. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna get some new battery cables so that they'll stretch to the new location. But what I need to do first is make a tray. Got that battery tray in. I just need to put a couple holes in for the tie down. This top piece I'm working on right now, and right here is the stock air box. I just went and picked that up. So I think that'll work a lot better, I hope. And over here, I made this template to kind of show the cutouts. So rather than do 2 cutouts, I may just do sort of a triangular shape and just cut the whole thing out. But that way it gets plenty of air, and you know, it's not blocked off. So we'll see how that goes. Honestly, I hate using hole saws, but I got it marked out, center punch. So I'm gonna go through with this little 1/8 inch drill, and then that'll be the pilot. All right, that was no fun. I hate hole saws. I absolutely loathe them. But I just need to zip off this top piece and this lower piece, and then clean this up. The challenge is, let's see if the circuit breaker wants to cooperate, because it's got that built-in GFI in it. Nope, not today. Well, this is what's going to have to do for the first startup. I can't obviously get my grinder in there to cut this out until the car moves. I'm not going to push this across the street or try to find someone with a normal circuit. But it fits in there really nicely. I don't really know how I'm going to mount it yet, but yeah, that works. I think honestly what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that breaker out and put a real one in so I can at least use my power tools. So I just capped this off. You can still see I got little plastic bits everywhere, but the reason for that is this stud is broken down here, and it seemed like an odyssey to try to remove that. So rather than do that, I just drilled and tapped this to M12 1.5, I think, to cap it off. So I need to go in, take the throttle body back off and clean up all those plastic shavings, and I need to figure out what in the world this thing goes to. I get the impression that this tube connects with this, but then it's blocked off in the back, so I'm not sure where that's supposed to go. If I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, janky, yeah. Poser, yeah. But until this morning, I had no idea if that was gonna like fray out or if I could just use regular hose fittings. Probably could have. But this is what we got right now. So this is going in the fuel tank, into the fuel pump, and then this other side is gonna get cut off and go to the fuel rail. There you go. So you can see it runs from the brake booster right here, comes across the hard line. It's got a hose clamp, and then it's got a 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So I had to stretch this one out, just put in some boiling water and pushed it over. And then it goes into this hose clamp, 1/2 inch, up to the GM Quick Connect. So hopefully that provides the boost. All right, guys, thanks for making it this far. If you did make it this far, I think that's pretty, I think I'm gonna wrap up the episode. The rest is just like little piddly things, but you get an idea basically of what I did and how I got to where we are today. So I'm really happy about, you know, where things are at, but I mean, I guess the proof's in the pudding. Let's see what happens when we do the first start, if fuel starts blowing everywhere, or coolant starts leaking, or any of the other stuff. But really excited to get to this point. If you guys don't mind, please subscribe, please drop a like, please drop a comment. Those comments really help too. They help me. There's a lot of questions I have in the video that I could really use some feedback on. So yeah, please feel free to comment below, and we will see you on the next one.